This is going to be the one that gets me in trouble. We are annoying. We are theater kids who got MBAs. We talk politics and try to control the minds of the world. We talk lots about responsibility, but essentially do nothing. We like to point at problems we caused and offer no solutions. We are a walking contradiction. We're libs that are gonna get owned because we're asking for it, but then we'll be offended because we know they're right and they're half our audience. We want their money, but we still want to go to Oprah parties and the GLAAD Awards, so we have to pretend that we don't agree with anyone. We don't question pharmaceutical companies or multinational corporations, yet complain on social media all day about the effects that they unleash on the world. We are undercompensated, underappreciated, and we are the executives of Hollywood. And today's episode is dedicated to us. I'm your better judgment, because you can't help yourself. Well, it's a musical chairs of incompetence once again in Hollywood. People like to call it consolidation. I often refer to it as shaken baby syndrome, because what it results in is the skull fucking of an entire development slate and the death of a studio. When you're trying to make quality content, whether it's film or TV, the most important thing is that you get a script. You get a script that makes sense. You get a script that's compelling. You get a script that will get you someone better than, and she's going to hate me for this, Candace Cameron. You need somebody better than that for a streaming service. Unless it's a Christmas movie, then it's okay. But the problem lately in Hollywood is that no one can read. They've lost the ability, they've lost the time, they've lost the responsibility or urgency to read. Nobody reads memos, nobody reads meeting notes, nobody reads contracts, nobody has any idea what's going on. Up and down the chain. Not the PA, not the producer's assistant, not the actor, not the director, not the writer, not the producer, not the executive, not the CFO, not the line producer, and certainly not me, because I don't know what the fuck is going on. You talk to these people, they're all mired in anxiety, even if they're working. That prevents them from doing their job that they're actually working on now. Some may call it Trump derangement syndrome. And some may call it Trump derangement syndrome. I told you this was going to get me in trouble. It's bad. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. Have you read your script? Have you seen what's happening? Have you read the script? Have you seen what's happening? Have you reviewed the budget? Have you seen what's happening? Have you done your job at all? Can you focus? Are you okay? Do you need help? Do you need help? That was basically my conversation with everybody. Are you okay? How are you feeling? Are you doing okay? How are the daughters? How are the daughters? Are they okay? Do they know what's going on? Do they understand that they're growing up to live in a future where there's no opportunity for them? These people have lost their goddamn minds. And it was contagious. It was contagious. I was slowly going insane. A lot of them, let's say, are getting up there. And they're trying to hold on to relevance in various different ways. Now, I'm not going to spend the entire show talking about the inherent problems with the types of people that go into executive roles in Hollywood, but I'll touch on it. Everyone wants a podcast. Everybody wants to be doing this. But they've realized that if they say what they feel or the truth, that they can't keep their job. Those two things are in direct conflict. Job and the truth. Now, the board members of these companies might agree, but if they had the best interests of these corporations in their in their mind, they would probably like the truth. They might like the truth. They say that these people have a duty to the shareholders. They need to be reminded of that. They need to be reminded of that. They have no idea what a business is. They have no idea what a business is. They think that a business is a building that you go to and you get a parking space and you complain all day about things that have nothing to do with the business. They think that going to work means discussing the news all day, discussing the news, not discussing your projects, not discussing the state of the industry, not discussing getting people back to work, not discussing onshoring production capital from overseas, but discussing the news. What has been rolled back? What has been removed? What has been replaced? Who is getting elected? Who's not getting elected? And at the end of the day, what that results in is the ambition of these people to do projects that are socially conscious. But they can't. I was involved in many of those projects. Projects that would have been done prior to 2020. But now, because everybody lost their minds from 2020 to 2023, making non-binary cartoons for children, we cannot tell socially engaging content anymore. And I'm not talking about wild stories. I'm talking about any serious story. Any serious story. Can't do it. Anything that touches on corporations, can't do it. Because we need the commercial revenue from them, because we don't sell movie tickets anymore. We used to be able to sell movie tickets and make movies about interests, special interests, but those special interests are now our special interests. We need their money. We need their money or we cannot make anything. And by making anything, we mean, of course, our yearly bonuses. Because this ain't about art. If you think that Hollywood is about art, then you have never been in an executive lunch. An executive lunch mainly consists of, I'm redoing my beach house. I'm going to Saint-Tropez for the winter. And my kids got into Crossroads School, and I had to bribe the dean. Allegedly. These are the types of business conversations that happen when you're an executive in Hollywood. And, we got Kevin Costner or something. But it's mostly about what is going on in our personal lives and how we're spending our money. Let's be honest. That may be very enlightening to the creative community, but I highly doubt they didn't suspect that. Most of it has to do with where your kids are going to private school. Most of it. And that is why we can't pay you residuals for streaming shows. Because those schools are fucking expensive. And this all goes back to the point that I was going to lightly touch on, that now I've gone on a rant. Every executive wants to be a creator. Every executive wants to be a creator. Whether it's Bob Iger, whether it's one of the 3 CEOs from Paramount, they all want to be making shows. But for whatever reason, they gave up on their dream and decided that the corporate route with benefits and a 401k would be safer. But it's a fucking Game of Thrones. It is a Game of Thrones. All of these executives either wanted to be, were, and still want to be creatives. They want to be making the shows. But when you're an executive, you sell your soul. You sell your soul for steady health benefits because you can't get those in the creative unions. You sell your soul for money, which is a great reason to sell your soul. It's the only reason, if you ask most of the people. But mostly because we realized that making stuff sucks. Making stuff sucks. It is hard. And who wants to be in Uganda for a 20% tax incentive? Not me. Not me. I do not want to be in Uganda for a 20% tax incentive. But you can. You can go because they're giving 20% for above the line. And we got Julia Roberts, and she's very expensive. Famously, during the Walking Dead lawsuits, it came to light that the AMC executives did not want to go to Atlanta because they called the set a hellscape filled with mosquitoes and referred to it as a swampland. They didn't want to go. Allegedly. You can go because there is a 20% tax incentive in Uganda. But there's also an impending civil war, but that's okay because we won't be visiting set. We're theater kids. We're just theater kids. Okay? We were just theater kids, and we didn't go all the way with the dream. We just got a corporate job that surrounded it, and then realized that we could skim as much as we wanted off the top, and that felt good because you want Louis Vuittons. You want Louis Vuittons, or whatever they're called. I like a Louis Vuitton, so it's very confusing for me. I don't care about the color of the bottom of my shoes. I'm not the one getting stepped on. So, David Geffen very famously once said, all these people do is bullshit on the phone. I can bullshit on the phone. And once you realize that, you can be an executive too. All you got to do is lie. Bullshit on the phone. You just got to lie bullshit. And because we gave up on our dream, we resent you. We quietly resent the creative community. And we love the idea of the impending AI replacement, but we especially love the idea of breaking up your families and making you go to Uganda for a 20% tax incentive when there's an impending civil war. You can take your family with you, but that'll be on your own dime. If you want to be in the Uganda civil war together as a family and treat it as like a vacation, you can pay for their airfare. And because we gave up on our dream, we make it all about us. It's all about us. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about us. Because they haven't found a way for AI to mess things up yet. And that's what we do. AI is too accurate to do our jobs. It's too accurate. If you want to be an executive in Hollywood, all you have to do is ignore everything, do stock buybacks. Ignore everything, do stock buybacks. Fire people who should succeed you in the company because you see them as a threat currently. And you definitely want to consolidate. Consolidation is everything in Hollywood. Consolidation allows you to cover your tracks. Consolidation allows you to put your debt on somebody else. Consolidation allows you to cancel shows you never should have greenlit in the first place. And it's become apparent that the transsexual mermaid musical detective show is not going to work on NBC primetime. So you can use consolidation to cancel that. Which brings us to today's story.
Paramount right now. They were in need of federal approval for a merger that the owner of Paramount is looking toward right now. So it appeared clear that she was open to an agreement of this kind. Ultimately, the bottom line is it was agreed to. We have now learned overnight $16 million, as you said, that will go toward President Trump's future presidential library. This is not going to sit well with many people within CBS.
Now, for those of you who don't know what Paramount is a movie studio in Hollywood. You might recognize their golden hits like The Jersey Shore and RuPaul's Drag Race. They also had SpongeBob, Nickelodeon Gak, and occasionally a movie. Occasionally they had a movie. One of their big franchises was Transformers. I was actually at the premiere of Transformers 2, funny story, and someone in the middle of the film about 10 minutes in said, "Is this the movie? Is this the movie?" At the premiere, with Michael Bay right there. And the whole crowd laughed, because the first 15 minutes of that movie feels like a car commercial. It feels like a car commercial because that's what Michael Bay used to do. He used to do car commercials. And then this town, in its infinite wisdom, decided to put commercial directors in charge of our Hollywood blockbusters because we just wanted them to look nice. We wanted them to look nice. It's just like pop music. I was having a conversation actually with a friend about this yesterday. Pop music gives you the appearance of being music, but it's a package. And how did I say it? Oh, pop music is as close to music as bologna is to meat. Bologna is technically meat. Technically. So, Paramount is trying to consolidate. And that's our favorite word in Hollywood. Consolidate. We like to consolidate to get rid of stupid decisions. And so, Shari Redstone popped back up in Sumner Redstone's life. Who was Sumner Redstone? Sumner Redstone is Shari Redstone's father, who she inherited his media conglomerate from. And funny enough, a few years before his death, Shari popped back up in his life to make sure that the hookers didn't control the company. Allegedly. Allegedly, the hookers were going to control the company because Sumner liked blowjobs. Sumner liked blowjobs so much that towards the end of his life, the only thing that he could say was, "Blow me."
The very public and very bitter battle over Sumner Redstone's media empire is reportedly over, and the settlement keeps the Redstones in control.
Blow me. He remembered that. Was that most of his business dealings? I don't know. I'm only asking questions. And so, Paramount now is trying to sell itself because Shari took over and realized that making things sucks. Making things sucks. And so now they're in a bit of a predicament because they're trying to sell and 60 Minutes is giving them some hell.
60 Minutes has agreed to pay $16 million to settle a lawsuit brought by President Trump. He alleged in an interview last year that his former rival Kamala Harris, did this interview on CBS's 60 Minutes, and that it was deceptively edited in a way that helped her and hurt him.
Shari Redstone needs to sell, and you need to settle the lawsuit with the president in order to do that. And that's pissed off all the reporters at 60 Minutes because they think they're telling the truth. For the most part, they are. For the most part, they are. But occasionally they do a corporate dog and pony show for the next miracle drug or miracle war. Miracle war. We support war. And so now they're in a predicament. They're in a very bad predicament because they need to sell. And who are they selling to? In a town full of Nepo babies, we now have trust fund babies.
Was always positioned as a takeover by David Ellison, Larry's son, who was the founder of Skydance, this film and TV studio, and he's going to be the chairman and CEO of Paramount when this deal closes. But you just assumed that being his dad, being one of the richest guys in the world, worth $150 billion, that's where the money was coming from. And this filing, which they were required to make to the Federal Communications Commission, says that indeed it's most of this money, the control of the company lies with a family trust. It's the Lawrence J. Ellison Trust, revocable trust, and he owns 100% of the vote and equity of the trust. So he essentially controls Paramount.
Larry Ellison started a company called Oracle, and his two kids, funny enough, decided that they wanted to be movie producers. You know why they wanted to be movie producers? Because we convinced them to. Because we wanted their money. We wanted their money. So we convinced them that we make art and that it would be a good thing for their reputation and for their legacy to make art with us. And what kind of art, you might say? Terminator, and Top Gun art. Very expensive art. And it was amazing. It actually made a lot of money. Top Gun was one of the only movies that have made money in the past decade. In the past decade, it was one of the only movies to make money because people wanted to see it. They had a shocking idea to make a movie that people wanted to see, but they called it art so that they could get their money to make it. And everybody got paid really well. But at Paramount, nobody gets paid. Nobody gets paid at Paramount. And so where does this leave us? Paramount has 3 CEOs, a new trust fund baby owner, and 2 shows. Paramount has 3 CEOs and 2 shows. 3 CEOs and 2 shows. One of their shows famously lost their leading man, Kevin Costner. That's Yellowstone. The major franchise lost its main star, so all that they have left is RuPaul's Drag Race. RuPaul's Drag Race is single-handedly propping up the Paramount brand. And it's because no one gets paid.
Our fictional queen in our example from earlier, the one that was obligated to 6 seasons of Drag Race Hell, would only be contractually entitled to be paid $639 per episode by the time they appeared in their 6th season in 2042. And by the way, money is worth less and less every single year due to a monetary concept called inflation. So that $639 20 years from now would be worth $430 of today's dollars. How's that for a raise?
No one gets paid. And on 60 Minutes, people get paid. People get paid on 60 Minutes. And then presidents get paid. Presidents get paid by 60 Minutes. These are huge problems. The news is a liability. It's a huge problem. So look forward to a cinematic universe of RuPaul's Drag Race because it's incredibly cheap and no one gets paid.
And they also don't get to negotiate rates. That's all in the hands of their management, which, as I hinted at earlier, is also, I'll give you 3 seconds to guess, World of Wonder. And the really fun thing here is that you're actually signing to receive management from World of Wonder under contract terms that you do not know. It literally says your split rate is to be negotiated in good faith between the producer and you in accordance with industry standard. So they require you... Sorry, this is so ridiculous. So they require you to be managed by them at a rate which will be negotiated later based on good faith, under the circumstance, of course, that you have no leveraging or bargaining power at the point at which they will negotiate said rate. That sounds fair to me.
It's the perfect business model. It's actually how Hollywood was founded. Hollywood was founded on very cheap content where no one gets paid. But here's the problem. When you keep getting rid of executives, you lose entire development slates. You lose relationships with creatives. And all you have left is RuPaul's Drag Race. All you have left is RuPaul's Drag Race. So look forward to more content like that. I can predict right now you'll have RuPaul's King's Race, where women dress up as men. RuPaul Drag Race Jr., where children have their own story time dressed as drag queens in southern states. So now that in southern states drag queens are not allowed to do story hour, children will do it themselves in 6-inch heels. Children will do their own story in 6-inch heels, and Paramount will film it because you cannot employ children. But you can film them. You can put children on a TV show and pay them nothing. You can pay them nothing on a TV show so long as it's a documentary. But if you do it as a scripted movie, you can only have a kid work for an hour or two. But we realized you can have kids film all day, so long as it's documenting their life. We're going to document everybody's life. We're going to document children's lives. And Paramount will have RuPaul Drag Race Jr. You heard it here. You heard it here. It's going to happen. So, David Ellison, I'm available to produce RuPaul's Drag Race Jr. and then RuPaul's Drag Race Teen. And then we can basically, hey, here's an idea. I actually just thought about this now. Let's create a Disney Channel type talent farm with RuPaul's Drag Race Jr. We can have little sassy Ariana Grande Juniors that then we put into the music industry and make them into big pop stars. And then they can be in musical movies that revive the entire studio. So let's do that. Let's get a little Sassiana Grande, who was a little black boy from Harlem, and we will develop him into a recording star so that when he gets older, we can put him in Transformers the Musical. Transformers the Musical. That's what we're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not scripted. These are the types of ideas that you just come up with in pitch meetings. RuPaul's Drag Race Jr. into Transformers the Musical. Transformers the Musical with Sassiana Grande from Harlem. Sassiana Grande from Harlem will be the first drag queen child ever to win an Oscar. Sassiana Grande will be the first drag queen child to ever win an Oscar. Think about the Oscar. Think about the Oscar. God damn it. Think about the Oscar. We're gonna have a drag/trans black child from Harlem win the Oscar for best performance as a they/them in a musical. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. So at one point, I was going to not do this podcast, and then I realized it was cheaper than therapy after my transition in life. And not that kind of transition. The transition out of being a Hollywood executive. And I decided that this would be a better use of my money in not spending my money. I can just shout into the void of the internet and do some comedy shows and put it all on you. I can put it all on you. And then you can go to therapy about my trauma. You can go to therapy about my trauma because I'm not paying for that. I'm not paying for that because I don't want to pay per hour for someone that's not listening to me. What do I want to do? Pitch myself? I don't want to pitch myself. And that's what a therapist is. They you, and then say, we'll call you. But they'll call you when they need something, like another appointment. So I started doing comedy also. And I built a comedy club in my basement, as most people do. I say basement to sound relatable, but really it's the lower level of my compound, and I take a funicular down to it. If there's any Gen Pop out there who don't know what a funicular is, it's a hillside elevator because Malibu is very hilly. And what's left of it after the fires has become more hilly. Don't ask me how that logic works, but it seems to be the case. Everything seems steeper in the places that did not burn down. I don't know if that's Karen Bass's fault, but the rest of it is. So, I take my funicular down to my comedy club and I try out some material. Here's a clip. The bros on the internet are always saying, what happened with women? What happened to women? Why don't women want to be trad wives anymore? Right? What happened to women? I'll tell you. I will tell you what happened to women. Sex in the City. Sex in the City is what happened to women. At the behest of gay men. So don't blame Sarah Jessica Parker. She had nothing to do with the indoctrination of 40-year-old women into gay culture. That was the writers and producers of Sex and the City talking through women. You think women think like that or thought like that before Sex and the City? No. These were not the locker room conversations of women. These were gay men writing scripts, and it has ruined bros' chances of getting a trad wife. It's ruined it. You can't get a trad wife anymore because they all want to brunch and have Cosmos. When there's laundry to be done, there is laundry to be done. Now, of course, there's no laughter in there. You would have to imagine that. You would have to imagine the laughter in there because it certainly would be. It certainly would be if I went to the club. But I'm not going to go to the club. I'm not going to go to the club. I built a comedy club in my basement like Barbra Streisand built a mall in hers. I can't go outside. I can't go outside with the Gen Pop. I cannot go outside with the Gen Pop. I need a comedy club in my basement. Now, eventually I'll invite some people in, but if you think I'm going and waiting for an open mic with aspiring comedians when I was a Hollywood executive, you got another thing coming. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. I will build a cinematic universe around myself before you see me at the Comedy Store. I have a feeling I'm going to be at the Comedy Store and they're going to play that clip directly before it.
Coked up film set? Oh, Popeye.